Hey guys, it's V-Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is Adam Mullen. Now, this guy is someone that you may not particularly have heard of, but I know you've heard from. And Adam, how are we doing today?
Hi, Vance. I'm doing okay.
Good.
Yeah, it's
That,
good to be on here.
it is. I have not been on all week. I've been kind of sick. Anyone that I apologize to anyone that I have canceled on. It's been kind of a struggling week this week. I will not lie. But Adam, you've been one of my dearest friends for what, 6 years now, I think.
A long time.
Seems like forever.
Yeah,
Some days longer than others. But I'm glad to it may be the last day of the week, but I'm glad to have you on and welcome.
thank you.
So yeah. So that being said, we are almost on the Christmas holiday. We've got a couple more shows left. I think Monday we have Jon Snow. Anyone who's watched, I think it was Starship Grissom, which was an educational show, tune in for that one. And he also was on Melbourne. Yeah, if
Mhm.
anyone's ever heard of that old show, he played Fedor. So tune in for that. And he also worked at the old Starbase Studios. So yeah, tune in for that, and hear from Jon Snow. He's got some behind the scenes stuff. I'm sure you guys would love to hear. And then on Tuesday we have Star Trek fan film ITA, I believe it's pronounced, or ITA. I'm not exactly sure. We'll talk with them to figure out how exactly it's pronounced. Because me, I always fuck up everything. I can't pronounce anything, and I barely remember any names. But join us, and we'll try to figure out some of that together, and get a behind the scenes look at some of their stuff that they're doing, and talk to them and figure out how all that came around. And then on the 27th, we'll be doing my final show of this year. I'll be doing it with Frank Parker. Uh, so join me with that. But for today, we have the wonderful composer, Adam Mullen. Now, Adam,
Yes,
how
Vance.
did you, how, everyone's like, what? So you are a school teacher teaching music.
I teach private music lessons out of my house and online. I've been teaching lessons since, I don't know, 2010, something like that, just over 10 years. And I used to work in schools, but that was not music related. That was for special education. But that's been 3 years since I left all that. So I just spend my time teaching music, composing music, and working on comic books.
Wow.
Yeah, a little
So
of
comic
everything.
book. So you've got your hand kind of tiptoeing into everything, huh? What
Yep.
comic books now? What exactly are we talking about with comic books? How do we got that going?
Yeah, I've always loved to write stuff. And back in, it was 2014, I came up with this idea for what eventually became Lost Dominion, which you can see on my shirt, is the name of my main comic. And I had been sitting on the first issue of that probably since 2016, 2017. Decided to release the first issue April of 2020. And since then, I've released 3 issues of that, and I released 2 issues of another series called Fracture Point. And then I'm about to release the first issue of a third series called Solar Tides. And then I'm working on an anthology series for Lost Dominion that's about to come out with 3 issues. So I've been busy in the last couple of years with that. And for a long time, it was very hush hush. I didn't say anything about it up until 2020. So that's been a big part of my life, and it's overwhelming at times, but it's also fun. I just did a successful Kickstarter for it, month of October,
Yeah, I was about
and
to say you exceeded your goal on that one.
yeah, We
There was a lot of
raised,
support.
yeah, it was after all it was said and done, after Kickstarter took their fee, it was about $2,300 raised by about 30 something people. So yeah, it went really well. It was my first Kickstarter, and it was to help pay for my anthology series. And so the first issue of that is almost done. And the second and third issues are being worked on right now by different artists. So yeah, when I'm not doing that, I'm teaching my music lessons and composing. But so I kind of go through these different stages of the week where I'm like, okay, today, I am working on my comics. Except I can't really say that because almost every day I'm teaching music lessons. Today happens to be my day off. And I've chosen to spend my day off with you, Vance.
And, and see, and that warms my heart. That was, it really does, man. I can tell you, this show among so many, because we had I think we've been trying to schedule this for a long time. I think we did at one point a long time ago, and
It
then
was supposed to be
we had
April.
to, yeah.
My kitchen fell apart back in April, and it took until the middle of July to get it back and functioning. So it turned out that there was a lot of water damage and mold damage underneath the floor into the floorboards. And so they had to rip out all of my kitchen cabinets, my sink, some of the wall, and replace the floorboards under a large portion of it. And let's see here. Frank says, Adam, I thought you had more character, innocent look. And then we were living without a kitchen for about like 3 months or something like that, and that was not fun. Our dining room became our makeshift kitchen. Didn't have a sink for 3 months. We had access to our fridge, but the fridge was in the living room, so that was kind of odd. And then literally like a couple of weeks ago, my sink fell in, like it just fell out of its place, and so I had to have people come out and like put the sink back in. I had never experienced that before. That was a lot of fun. So I'm just seeing the comments come in and it's distracting me. I have the YouTube feed on my top screen. I have 5 monitors because of my composing. I need 5 monitors anyway. And it's distracting me because we're delayed, and now I see myself talking about the top screen and all 5 screens, and now it's just becoming a loop. Anyway,
it reminds me of like the 1989 Batman, where he's just sitting in the Batcave and it's just all these things going on. Like, I love it. I love it.
This is my Batcave essentially.
I love it. That's
and
good.
You can see, I have a bunch of instruments in the background, and those aren't even all my instruments. This side, I've got a couple more. And then also, let's see here, I'm getting confused. That way is also all my Star Trek collection, giant shelf of Star Trek stuff. My others, nope, that side. Oh my goodness, it's confusing me. This over here is like a bunch of Star Wars stuff, more Star Trek stuff, all of my movies, and yeah. So I've got big giant Millennium Falcon on the very top of my shelf. In front of me, I've got like a little Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt and on IG-88 because I enjoy the bounty hunters. So anyway, what were we talking about? My comics. Well, we don't have to talk about those. We can talk about other things. What do you want to talk about, Vance?
I didn't mind talking about your comics, but one thing that I do think is so interesting. You've worked with a crazy group of people on YouTube. The Watchtower, and this is speaking of comics that everybody knows, or at least that they should. If you were a kid from the 90s, you rushed home, you ate your lunch, and you sat in front of the TV, and Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, like the Justice League Unlimited, and they were the definitive DC. And the Watchtower, like these guys, I mean, they're amazing what they do, and how they analyze, how they go through the comics. They're funny as hell. They're clever because they pick up on stuff, and they do throwbacks to other things. And you're sitting there and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? This is fucking amazing. And I love it. And I mean, every time I leave a comment and I'm like, man, this is great. I feel like such a fanboy. I feel like I'm selling out, but I'm really not. I'm blown away because it's like, dude, you analyze stuff on such a level. Like wow. And you pointed me in their direction. You're like, hey, check these guys out. And usually when people say, hey, check this out, I'll do it on such a superficial level. I'm like, okay. And I'll look at it and I'll do it for 2 seconds. I'm like, okay,
Sure.
This is something where I did, and then I was like, oh man, I want more. Oh man, I want more. And man, I want more. And their analytics, oh my god, I can't pronounce the word.
It's okay.
See, that's how. Yeah. But their review of the Red Hood storyline for the DC animated universe was so like, wow. And this is all in like real time as we were getting the comics. It was so good. And I'd recommend that channel. And it was like, I have you to thank for that. And you've worked with these people on, what has that been like? And first, explain to the people what exactly it is, because I've done a piss poor job. I've just been fangirling out.
So the Watchtower Database is a DC animated universe dedicated channel on YouTube, and it's run by James Strucker, Ted Kendrick, and Maddie Washburn. And the three of them do weekly videos, analyzing, doing deep dives into those animated shows that we all love. So that includes Batman, the animated series, like you said, Superman, and they just put out a really cool video talking about how Superman literally got space in that show, and what the production team behind Superman, the animated series, like the steps they had to take to figure out like what would everyone look like, all the characters, and how they went from like a 1940s look to what they eventually settled on. And now it's iconic. It's like the animated Superman that we all associate to be Superman, at least most of us anyway. And it was a really, really cool documentary style that they brought in a bunch of other big YouTubers to read lines and play as the production team that made that show. Anyway, there's also Static Shock, Batman Beyond, the Zeta Project, Justice League Unlimited. I'm pretty sure I listed all of them. I might be missing something. If James ever watches this, he'll be like, you missed blah, blah, blah. So with James Strucker, I've worked with James since, 2013. And this was well before the Watchtower Database became a thing. I've written a lot of music for his videos from his other production company called JTS Entertainment. And that's something that came from him and his friends, like in high school, creating videos for fun, and then for James, it became something very much more serious as a career. And so then in 2015, he was like, hey, my friend Ted and I are putting together this webcomic called Legacies of the DC animated universe. And let's have you write some music for it. So we did this trailer for their webcomic, which they still produce, and they have an issue coming up pretty soon, I think. So it's related to the Watchtower Database, but it's something else, because they James is a great artist, Ted is a great writer, and Ted also is the editor and letterer for my comic Lost Dominion. And so they've brought in some other artists like Marcelo Melikai, who is one of my lead artists for Lost Dominion, and they bring in Mark Daniel Martinez, who's the artist for my anthology third issue. Anyway, so there's lots of cross-pollination. I steal all of their creative people for my stuff, so we all work very closely together. Right. Anyway, so definitely check out Legacies of the DCAU. It's a really great continuation of all of those shows, those animated shows. It's like as if this comic was being produced by the original team, like with Bruce Timm, but because it looks just like the show, it sounds like it with how Ted's writing it, and the stories are great. And so then the Watchtower Database started off as just some videos that they just wanted to put out talking about analyzing these shows, and became much more. So I get to write music for them a little bit here and there, and we have a few big giant videos coming out, probably around late winter, spring or so for the channel, that I'll be doing a lot of it for, like big stuff. Because they have like this ongoing like story that they do with them as themselves kind of thing. And like a, what would you call that? Like they have a channel lore that they do. And so they're going to be finishing up some of that with these big videos soon. So anyway, yeah, that's been a big part of my life for the last 6 years, in addition to, scoring fan films for you and for others. So maybe that's a good segue.
I was going to say that sounds like someone's leading me into the. So with that being said, let me show the people who have not heard, which I can't imagine anyone watching this hasn't heard your music if they've watched. But
Sure.
Let me show and this isn't to be self-serving, but this was the music that I had access to. But here's this is the Constar. I think it was Chronicles or Continues, Concluded. I'm not sure. It was one of them.
Remember.
Like, yeah, I keep I keep changing it. So here's one of the Constar music. Gary Brown. You wrote it originally for him.
Yeah, he commissioned me to write something for as if it was for Strange New Worlds, for that new show that's upcoming next year. And so I wrote it. I put in a little bit of the Star Trek theme near the end, but yeah, it's mostly original music. What were you gonna say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, nobody's tuning in to watch me, man. They're like, oh man, I want to see Adam. So you're fine. No, when I heard it, I was like, man, I fell in love with the score, because I was like, this feels like Star Trek. Because I mean, honestly, when those early seasons of Discovery, like there's no hope in that shit. It's just like, God, I feel like stop taking my heart medication. And especially when you jump to, Picard, it's like, oh my God, where's the diplomat, the trained, Earl Grey tea, like, man, that's, I want that guy back. The stuff we got, I'm like, this, oh my God, is this what
I
we
respect your opinions. I still love all of it, because I eat up anything Star Trek, but I totally understand what you're saying though.
Well, I mean, like I watch it all and I enjoy it, but I'm longing for that. Like, where's the hope?
Sure.
I need the hope. I mean, I still watch it, and nobody ridicule me, please. Don't kill me. It's just like when I watch Voyager and I'm like, oh, I want to bang my head against a rock. I don't enjoy it. I'll still watch it. But
I know you do not like Voyager at all.
No,
the salamander.
No.
Remember that meme I made of your head on a salamander body for when I did that podcast with Bill and we had you on? Yeah, you're the salamander king. Yeah. The Threshold.
The Janeway and Tom Paris kids, those kids are still out there. Yeah. They're lost. Yeah. They need to be brought home. Oh my God.
That could be an episode on Discovery. 1,000 years later, they find the little, progeny of their babies.
That's what the wormhole. That's that new wormhole thing is.
DNA. Yeah.
It's Tom Paris and Janeway's kids. They're like, man, screw Starfleet. That's why they're destroying everything. They're like, you left me behind.
Yeah, they never came and got us. Yeah.
You took my home. I'm taking yours. That's why they're meant. But anyway, I listened to your music and I was like, man, this gives me the hope that we need that. And I'm not a fan of the intros of Discovery or Picard, because to me it just feels like one of those kind of glossed over. It's kind of like Breaking Bad, where it's like it feels good in the moment, but it's like it doesn't give you that. But when you listen to your theme music, it takes you back to the old days of like nostalgia, where it's like, it's kind of like when WWF brought Hulk Hogan back and he's hulking up, and it's like, dude, you're 60 years old. You're going to break a hip. You really shouldn't be walking down to the ring, let alone running or hobbling, like slow down, Hulk. Like, it's okay, but that's what your music reminds me of, is a hobbly Hulk Hogan,
I was going to say, wait a minute, is this a compliment?
At this point, I'm expecting you to be like, man, screw you, V-Man, I'm off, So let's go to the music and we'll talk about this. Okay. So and then Hulk runs to the ring. I mean, it's all, you know, it's no. So going back to, how did Gary approach you about writing something like that, and how did the whole thing, what was the genesis for it?
uh, Gary's had me write other tribute kind of music for him for different franchises like The Expanse, Battlestar Galactica, and the original Battlestar. What else was there? I also had me do a 12 Monkeys thing, which I've never seen 12 Monkeys. It's on my list. And
Good.
side story with that, when I was trying to write that tribute music, I was live streaming it on Twitch. It was the last live stream I did. And Twitch and the program I use to get my music program called Cubase to talk with it just really messed it up. And it killed my feed. It killed Cubase. It killed all of it. And then when I tried to bring up the file again, it had corrupted it. So I was like, well, Gary, I have bad news. I can't open up the file. Luckily, that MP3 preview I sent you, that's going to have to be it. So yeah, then I got really mad at the whole stream thing. So I have yet to go back to that, partly because it's just a pain in the butt to get the programs to talk. Anyway, so yeah, Gary was like, I really want to hear your take on, what music would be like for Strange New Worlds. And I was like, okay, a day later, here you go, or 2 hours later, whatever it was, here's some music. And Gary's like, oh yeah, awesome. And so Gary likes to make little, tribute videos with the music, and put up on his YouTube page. So there's several things on there. He also did a tribute thing using my pre-existing Mandalorian cover thing I did a little while ago. And I remember one of the first comments that we got on Facebook or whatever was from Josh Irwin, saying, it sounds like Stargate. Or maybe I don't remember when Josh said that, or he said it to me personally, but I know I can see now in the comments that Josh said it again. I love how Adam makes Star Trek sound like Stargate. Thank you, Josh. And I think part of that is because Stargate music has had a big impact on me, besides Star Trek. But, it's also that Jerry Goldsmith influence, even though that was his son writing a lot of that Stargate music for the shows anyway. That same flavor, that same style has really impacted me a lot. And so I guess my music sometimes tends to sound like that. I don't know if that's a bad thing. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, that's okay. Gary also had me write some music for this tribute he did for Star Trek Continues. And it was like, I don't know how much I can say, but like legally, Continues cannot produce any more Star Trek because of the guidelines. They, as from my understanding anyway, this is, I have no official capacity to speak for them, but from what my understanding is, they can't produce anything. But Gary really wanted to do a tribute for them because he loves what Continues did, and rightfully so. And so he had me, he took, with permission, he took some footage from someone else's film, I think, and that was like the opening credits. And I, did some music for that. It was a lot of fun, people seem to enjoy it. Let's see here. People are talking. What are they saying?
They're talking about the Stargate has a positive, upbeat vibe to it. It evokes a lot of emotion. The music made Cosmic Stream the film that it is. I got chills watching the final scene.
Okay. Cosmic Stream was a lot of fun to write music for Josh, for the Avalon stuff. I've really enjoyed working on those. Josh and his people do a really great job. And so it's easy to write music for it because everything flows really well together, the story, the editing, all that. So it makes my job easier. That's why I like to think is a good editor makes a composer's job easy. And so Vance, looks like you want to say something.
Well, you've worked to to jump into the fan film world that you've worked with. You've worked with Frank Parker on some of his stuff. you've worked with Josh Irwin
Mm-hmm.
on the Avalon stuff. You've worked with me, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Why I'll never know. Um, you've
We can
worked with.
definitely get into that if you want.
Oh no, no, no! Because I like. I mean, we'll talk about the Project Defiant here in a little bit
Okay.
because I think that that stems outside the music stuff.
Sure.
I'd rather delve with the music stuff that you have with Avalon and with Frank because they're not here to talk about that side. Because I think talking about more the writing part that you did, because you've talked about the comic stuff that you've worked with. Let's talk about the composing stuff that you have with Frank and with the Avalon stuff. Um, what was that like working with those two experiences on those films? Because it's going to be kind of the similar experience, I think, working with the Constar stuff. So I'd rather not discuss that. I mean, you can if you wish, but like I said, with me, I'd rather discuss the Project Defiant stuff because I think that would
Sure.
be more interesting for the people at home. So
Yeah.
we're talking about the Crossroads and the Avalon stuff. What was that experience like?
So with Crossroads, Frank contacted me because I think you had recommended me to
Yep.
him, and asked me to write a theme, and he showed me, the original theme for Dreadnought Dominion when he was, doing that back in the day, and I believe he asked me to write something similar. I know there was certainly a certain tone I think he wanted, and so I try to make it a little bit more traditional, I guess, with my, of course, certain flair of how I write music, whatever that may be. And it didn't take me very long because it doesn't take me long to write stuff.
No, no.
So that was that. It was just a theme for the opening credits to Crossroads, and it was fun to do. And I really think that's all I've done for Frank as far as I can remember, because I think the music was used for maybe, oh yeah, there was an end credits version of it too. That was shorter, and so I'm just kind of I'm looking at the all the comments. I'm happy to do more music for Frank if Frank is listening. Aha, there we go. And with Avalon, with Josh, this goes back to, geez, I'm trying to remember. I think it was the, it was like fall, winter of 2020. Josh and Victoria had reached out to me, and because, or no, what it was is that I think, Vance, I think you asked me to write something for their vignette for Legacy. And so, I did that next day, I think you sent it to them. And then they reached out, and talked with them on the phone. They're like, hey, we want you to, do more music for us. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Because, they do great films. And I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I really admire their work. And, so I was happy to do that. And so I did end credits theme for them, and it was based off of a little simple melody that their previous composer had done. And so that was that. I think I did that. Yeah, I wrote Legacy in September or October, something like that. And then October, November must have been the end credits. And then and then December was a busy month because then they had me do Josh is like, all right, here you go, a couple days left, here's the footage for Air and Darkness, I'm pretty sure is what it was. And that was a lot to do, but I each project I get makes me get better and better. I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn with the digital composing. It's a lot different than composing like for real people, because it's just me doing everything. I am writing the music, I am mixing it, I'm trying to make it sound as lifelike as possible, which is tough to do, especially when you only have limited time. And I always like to say, at least half the amount of time or more that I'm working on a project on music is really just getting my programs to work, because they can be so much fun. They don't like to communicate. You know, it's computer programs, and
Right.
yeah. So most of the time it's that, because the writing the music doesn't take very long, or the mixing can take a little bit, and whatever else, or just waiting for it to export and then upload. That takes forever too.
Well, that's the one thing that um I'm blown away by you. Um, you know, it's I've come to you before and I'm like, hey, I need a song that sounds similar to this. What can you do for me? And you'll listen to it. You're like, I don't know, I'm kind of busy right now. I'll get back to you. And I'm like, okay, because for me, the way I see it is like none of us really get paid. You know, when you do a fan film, it's you have to go in with the expectations of we're volunteering our time. We're fans of the stuff. We have to be. So you have to be patient. When you go in and you make demands, that's a good way to lose people. And two,
Sure.
that's kind of just a douchebag move, and that's a good way to lose friends.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever, not intentionally made a demand of you and been like, look, dude, I'm a Z grade celebrity. I'm you know I make fan films, so you never go in there making demands. But I always go to you and I'm like, hey man, real life comes first. Do it when you can, as soon as you can. I don't think anyone's ever like, hey, take 4 years. That's a great time to, but I always try to be like, hey, whenever you can, it's good. And always within like a few hours, you're like, boom, there you go. And I'm like, oh, dude, I was expecting like a week or two. Like, I thought you were busy. And you're like, I had some free time. I'm like, when in the bathroom? Like, what are you doing? Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, you are like, you are on it.
I mean, I wish I could do some composing in the bathroom, because that's more time, right?
Well, I always imagine it's like Prince's house, because he has his entire house wired. So no matter where he went, if he was singing in the fucking shitter, like he could record it right there, and it never stopped recording. He just, and I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, is that Adam? Like, I mean,
I
wow.
thought about that. Because I definitely, in the shower or whatever, you come up with ideas, right? And um, sometimes it's musical ideas, and then I'm just like, oh man, I wish I could, write this right now, or at least
Right,
whatever. And then get out of the shower. Here's my phone. I go, okay, I'm going to record this. Oh, I don't remember what it is. Oh well.
right, right. That's why we need those Borg implants so we can get
Yep.
the music to,
There
you
we
know.
go.
Oh my God, that's how it starts. So okay, so we've gone to the music, and um, let's go to Project Defiant,
Sure.
which is something because we're going to be working. Not a lot of people know. Um, we hold up. So Frank says just uploaded Crossroads theme to the channel. Awesome. Anyone who wants, go on this channel, check out the Crossroads theme. Check it out. Because as anyone who may not know, you and I are going to be working on a Stargate fan series.
Eventually.
What's that now?
I said eventually.
Yes, yeah. That's always it's all of us fan people. That's always the word. Eventually, we always have a million things on our plate.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing I think that you and I have shown, people like you, people like me, people like Josh, people like Frank, we get shit done. So I mean, even if it's a matter of time, we do produce. The results are there. You're my first real project that we worked on was a couple of fan films and an audio project called Project Defiant. But you are the master behind that whole thing. What was that whole thing about? For those that don't know anything about it,
Man,
what
let's see
can you
if I
tell me
can
about
remember. So that, I think I wrote the first script like December of 2014, and then I contacted you in 2015. I think, I'm pretty sure. But so Project Defiant You know, most of us have seen, you know, the Tholian web, uh, you know, and probably even less of us have seen, you know, the two-parter In a Mirror Darkly from Enterprise. And now even less of us have seen, you know, the stuff from Discovery in the Mirror Universe, and with mentions of the Defiant. So in, you know, of course, 2014, 2015, this is before Discovery did any of that. But I always wanted to know more about the Defiant, and then, you know, how did it end up the way it did? You know, what we see in the Tholian web, with, you know, everyone dead. What, you know, how, why, kind of thing. And um, so I, you know, me being me, I see the larger picture quite easily. It's more difficult for me to see like little tiny details. But so right away, I already had this gigantic plot of, I knew what the story would be and how to get there for the most part. I knew that I wanted to first start out with a story that was just before the Tholian web, and it wasn't even about necessarily how the crew of the Defiant, you know, was killed, because that would be pretty gruesome, you know, to do. And you know, with the guidelines, I think had just come out. I think I might have started it before the guidelines. I don't remember. I know I had other ideas in the years prior, like from 2012 even, for like 2 hour film kind of thing. Anyway, um, and so I knew I wanted to start out in the Prime universe, you know, in TOS era, and then I wanted to jump to the Mirror universe. And I think, you know, when we were talking, I don't remember necessarily how we developed the Mirror universe stuff. Um, if it maybe it came from our conversations, but I knew I wanted to get into, you know, how and why it jumped to the Mirror universe, with, you know, on the Tholians being behind it, and, you know, the Tholians having this greater plot that's, you know, the Defiant is just a small part of it. And you know, then you and I came up with this, I think I was like, hey Vance, you know, let's have you be in all the films, but in the Mirror universe, how about you just play mirror version of Menard? And then you took it from there, you know, and you ran with it, like really ran with it. And, you know, you came up with Minard, and, you know, he became, you know, something much more than just this angry dude, you know, that, you know, gets blown up. And so, yeah, in a way, I kind of think of Project Defiant being like the catalyst for a large part of your Constar stuff, at least with the Phantom, you know, and
Yeah.
the yeah. So that's cool, you know. Indirectly, I got to, you know, be your whole franchise's, you know, granddaddy in a way,
Yeah.
you know.
I was gonna say grandfather effect, but I was like, no, that's time travel stuff. That
And
doesn't quite apply.
that might be getting weird, but
Yeah.
I want to look at some
There's
comments here. Oh, there's not a whole lot more. Okay. And so, you know, I had an idea for 3 fan films. One of them would be, you know, in the prime timeline before they die. And then the other 2 would be, well, the middle one would be like this mutiny. And it would be on board the ISS Defiant. So not the Defiant from the Tholian Web, not from, you know, the original series Defiant, but a completely different one that we had never seen before. That is from the Mirror Universe, and the idea was that it would take place just after the motion picture, but in the, you know, Mirror Universe.
universe.
And
Right.
so it would have it would be the refit Constitution class Defiant, and I thought that would be really cool. And then at the end of that, we would then you know, find out that, oh, we do see the USS Defiant, and it would have been this, you know, it would be what, like 120 years or so after Enterprise era, but in the mirror universe. So we know from Enterprise that, you know, the Terrans get it. I'm trying to remember the end of that. I'm pretty sure Hoshi has it as her flagship, right? She becomes
Yeah.
the Empress,
Yeah.
or she declares herself Empress anyway after
Yeah.
killing Mira Archer. And so I remember from reading the books, the literary verse that just ended last month. I used to read all of those books. I remember reading about like Archer being cloned and coming back. Sorry, spoilers if you've read. And about the resistance, I think rebellion, whatever they were called, getting a hold of the ISS Defiant. Anyway, so I didn't want to go off really any of that though, but I knew that I wanted there to be the USS Defiant, so we had to bring it back. And I thought, well, it'd be cool if the Romulans had it, and why not just put it back into that asteroid shipyard thing that gets destroyed at the end of the in Mirror Darkly? Why not just say it wasn't necessarily destroyed? They fixed it. I don't know. And maybe that's too coincidental, too easy. I don't know. I liked it anyway. And the Romulans have it, but the Tholians want it still. And so then the ISS Defiant gets wrapped up in this fight, and the whole linkage to what you made with the vignette. What was it called? What's the one that you filmed with
Dark Glimmer or The Hill?
Yeah, Dark Glimmer. And so that was supposed to be a direct lead-in to the second film. And so where you're beamed aboard from the Valiant, the ISS Valiant, that would have been pre-refit. It would have been waiting for the refit in my script. And then you would beam aboard the ISS Defiant, and where you would take control, and Captain Baxley would have been your your minion, and then the rightful captain, played by Crystal Willis, character of Yara El Nath, she would be leading this mutiny against you and Baxley to take control of the ISS Defiant. And then anyway, the third film would have been then direct continuation essentially of the second one, and it would have been, man, I'm trying to remember. I know for the audio drama versions, I condensed all of it so that the second audio drama would have been the second and third films, and I don't even remember. Maybe I didn't even get around to that. Maybe I just tossed it out because we weren't going to film them because of what happened with Starbase Studios. And so anyway, but for people that have no idea what I'm talking about or have not experienced Project Defiant, we have two audio dramas. The first one is that original story that I wrote that's before they die, and it lays clues for the second one, as well as other stuff that I was seeding for, actually for other stuff that you were doing, that you were having me write. I was seeding my own stuff, but I think some of it didn't get necessarily made. Like was it was like, it wasn't To the Stars. What's it called? We had the chunk of it was like something about a nipple. I don't remember. Remember you filmed it and I wrote it. Oh man, I don't even remember the name of it. It's been so long now. Yeah, you're like, man, I've done so many.
It really has. I don't remember. I remember
Times Ripple.
That's it.
It was Times Echo. Times Echo, and then the sequel was going to be Times Ripple, and you said it sounds like Times Nipple.
Yeah.
So in Times Echo, the end of it was supposed to show that this planet, it's like, I don't even remember if it's producing energy or something. It's like kind of a vortex into it.
Yeah, like goes up. Yeah.
Sweet, and so the Tholians were behind it. And it was essentially similar to how they brought the Defiant into the Mirror universe. And then eventually what I was going to do was this whole overarching plot was going to connect to my other audio series, which I have not finished yet. I know you said we all finished stuff. Unfortunately, I never got around to finishing it called The Unity. And it was partly because of, pandemic, but also some stuff with going on the editing. And I've had the scripts done since like 2017. I have a lot of lines. Maybe one day it will get finished. But anyway, the end of that was supposed to tie directly into this overarching Tholian plot that if I ever had done a second season of A Call to Unity, would have brought in the Project Defiance plot stuff a little bit, and it would have shown the Tholians to be the major threat to the galaxy kind of thing. But I don't think I'll ever get around to that, so I might as well talk about it. So yeah.
Well, real quick, Josh Irwin says these films sound like they would be lit. You should make them now. Question. Even though you've done audio,
would I want to make them? Sure.
If we had to either recast if we needed to, or find the parts, because I think Crystal Willis would probably come back if we needed to make some concessions to travel expenses or whatnot, because I think that's usually her only thing is, hey, gas to get there, because her work schedule is usually pretty busy. But I think now, especially, I think, me having 111 films under my belt, I don't think the guidelines are as scary as they once were. And with Wolf, and Dan, they have, their studio is open. I mean, Josh says it's lit, if there's enough interest there, would that be something you'd be open to maybe going back and saying, hey, let's brush off those original scripts that were in the audio dramas, and let's go back and readdress some of these things and see if there's any interest in doing them?
I know I had just said yes. And yeah, I'd be up for it. I don't honestly, with how busy I am, I would probably, I don't know, I would want to do it for sure. But I might have to leave it in the hands of other people if anyone wanted to really do it. I would still like to be involved, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
So Josh, you're blessed being called there, Josh. So, I mean, if you really think it sounds lit, Josh, you might need to take a look at some of these scripts, man. So, all right. So I'll see if I can make some of these things happen. So anyway, so go ahead with what you were talking about, though.
Oh, I was waiting for you to ask another question.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So we've covered the music. We've covered the Watchtower database. We've covered a little bit of the fan film stuff, the video game stuff.
We haven't talked about the video game stuff.
No. Okay. Forgive me. My brain's a little.
We talked about it.
Okay. So you have delved in composing video game. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So, I like to play video games and I like to write music. Why not write, video game music? And man, that's tough to break into. Luckily, I had trolling around, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, sending developers, messages, because that's really the best thing that I found you can do. And so Mike Becker, who is a developer, he was raising funds for his game Heracles and the Princess of Troy, which is like a 2D side-scrolling game for Steam. And it's very difficult, but it is fun. And so, I had said, hey, do you need music? And he's like, yeah. And so, we were in talks for me to write music. I sent him this test track, which ended up becoming the main title. And if you want to play it, that's fine. If you can go to my SoundCloud and you can bring it up here. You want me to send you a link?
I can't play it over the stream. I sadly I'm on my phone that does it. Okay. So I'm not that techno savvy.
Let's see here.
Can you play it over
Then
your audio and we can see?
I can try. Yeah. Let's see here. I have to find it. And so, I ended up scoring for this video game that has been out for a couple years. Excuse me, I'm about to burp right into my microphone. I'm so sorry. I'm still looking for this track. I have a lot of stuff on my SoundCloud. Where is, aha, okay. So I found that. Let's see here. It says I can share. How do I share? Okay. No. Let's see here. Share screen. It looks like it wants me to share my main screen, but I don't want to share the main screen. So you know what? I'm just going to take a link. I'm going to put it into the YouTube chat, and people can listen to it there if they want.
Okay.
That's a really long. I didn't even share right. So you know what? I'm going to try a different link. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's a link if anyone wants to listen. But it was a lot of fun to compose. It's orchestral, and so if you know anything about Heracles or Hercules, it's ancient, Greek or Roman mythology, and so the game is about you are Heracles and you're trying to save the princess of Troy, kind of thing. And it's a fun little game. Jeff says Adam definitely is one of the best composers. I've had the honor of working on. His original tracks for Knights of the Old Republic Resurgence are always quality. Thank you, Jeff. So yeah, that's another project that I work on.
And Jeff is first off, welcome to the channel, Jeff. Who's Jeff exactly?
Jeff Lincoln. So Jeff has done some fan audio stuff in Star Trek as well. And Jeff also writes the Star Wars fan audio drama called Resurgence.
Okay.
And so I've done music and lines for that, and that's a lot of fun. So anyway, with back to Heracles, I recently did another track or two or whatever for Michael Becker, for Mike, the beginning of this year. For like a boss track. Anyway, so there's that. You can buy that album of music on my Bandcamp page, or you can go to Steam and you can find the game. You can find the album for sale. I know I said I wasn't going to mention it, but I did do a soundtrack for another game last year, 2 years ago, something like that, and it hasn't been released yet. It's called what is it? I think it's called something Star Raider. My goodness, why can't I not remember these things? Red Star Raider. It's something like that. Anyway, I don't know if the developer is going to release that game or not. But he had asked me to do additional music. His original composer had done some, and then I think she was too busy or something, so I did like 3 or so tracks. So far, I don't have any other. I can't talk. I don't have any other video game soundtracks on the docket right now. I was in talks with someone to do something over the summer, but that hasn't coalesced yet. So it's mostly just been fan films. I've been so busy with that Kickstarter for my comics, that wiped me out. I've been recovering emotionally from that the last couple months. That is draining. Trying to raise money.
Yes.
Ask people for money. Yeah, it's not fun.
No, your mind. I mean, it takes you to a different place, because then, I mean, you're talking about it, you're making connections. You're trying to make sure that you're hitting every spot, and you're trying not to be overbearing. But then, I mean, your mind kind of just you kind of live and breathe that dollar amount. And when you get online, the first thing you do is go to how much are we at? Where are we at? What's the percentage? Like, I mean, you try not to make it be about that, but I mean, that's kind of your goal. I mean, yeah. It's kind of like when you go to school, like you're focused on grades, and that's when you're making, when you're trying to raise money, you're trying to raise money, and it's an important thing. It's not like it's we get it, we don't. I mean, nobody goes into it thinking, who cares? I mean, if that's your goal, why are you doing it? So I mean, no, and that's the thing about it is, and here's the thing about you. You had an IP that's not. It's not like you're doing a fan film. Like take me for instance. I when I do a fundraiser, it's easier for someone like me to do it because one, Star Trek fan film. Okay, here you go, Vance. Oh, okay.
Sure.
You weren't doing that. So
Yeah.
it's easier for me than it is for someone like you who says, hey, here's this IP that you've never heard of. I might be a person you might not have heard of. And here's something we're trying that you don't know if you're going to actually see something from your investment. And we might fail. So you don't know. You really are taking it on someone's good grace. So
Yeah.
it is a lot more stressful than someone like me, where it's like, hey, here's Star Trek. Oh, I got that. Here you go. It has to be, you know, you get the kind of sweats and your head kind of throbs. And no, I get it.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It,
But that's what makes that success of not only meeting that goal, but
yeah.
excelling past it. And
Yeah.
that's I mean that is the success story. You know. Josh says Tyler always says that Adam is the James Horner of fan films. I get that because Tyler loves The Wrath of Khan. I definitely hear the Jerry Goldsmith influence though, and I love it.
I appreciate
That's
that.
the thing about you, Adam. And that's why I always recommend whether it's Frank or Josh or whoever, because I've made recommendations to everybody. Whenever they're like, "Man, I need some music," I'm like, "Oh, I got a friend named Adam." I mean, and that's anybody.
And I
Because
appreciate that.
well, I do. I mean, I think you're that damn good. Um, well, I mean, I do because I mean, I lucked out. I really do think so because I've always stood by. I'm a guy that shoots my films on my cell phone, and I lucked out because I failed upwards. I'm a success story. I shouldn't have succeeded, but I just happened to make a couple of films, and I lucked out. Now, hey, people know me by making fan films. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
You worked on my films. You make me sound better than I actually am. Just like the people who do the CGI in my films, they make me look better than I am. I'm not that good, but you take the time to work on my stuff. That's why I'm like, man, if I can ever help get you work, legit work, and hey, I mean, Josh Irwin, that guy, dude, leaps and bounds above me. If we can ever help get you better, man, that's what it's about, because you, my friend, deserve to be on that big screen.
Thank
And
you.
because it sounds great, you know um and like I always tell people, the my character Menard, he's known for being brooding. He'll sit there in his quarters and he'll just be like,
Yep.
he'll be fucking Mr. Pouty, you know. And your music has either taken that guy, and you'll do wonderful music, and it'll either be, and I don't envy you, because it's like you had to have stared at me an awful lot going, you fat fuck, why are you doing this to me? You know,
Only a couple times.
you know but that right there, how you do the music, makes it either a happy moment or a sad moment or an
Sure.
angry moment. Like, you set the tone, and that's so much how it is with music, and I can't say how important that is. So it's like you have such an unbelievable talent, and with all the music you have and how you look at things, man, it's so beautiful, dude. you
I
know
appreciate
um
those words.
Wild Star 100. You said Jeff,
Jeff.
right?
Yeah.
Jeff. And again, welcome to the channel, Jeff. It is a pleasure to have you, my friend. He says 100% agree. One day we shall see music composed on a major film on the big screen. Let's make it happen. Jeff, I completely agree with you, my friend. I hope that day happens, and if so, I'm buying 10 of those films and I'm passing that stuff to my friend. Yes, I agree, because I'm a firm believer. Anytime my friends have an actual film, you go buy the film. Even if you don't have a DVD player or Blu-ray player or whatever, you buy the film, because it's you show support to those people. But Adam, we're here at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
But I man, it is a pleasure to have you on, my friend. is there anything else you have to say before we skedaddle?
Well, I think people think I just do fan film music. I do much more than just fan films, you know.
Yeah.
We said earlier, I do music for the Watchtower database, which in a way is, I guess you could say, fan music. But I also write music for other original films. Last October, I wrote music for an independent film, an indie film that made the circuits. It was a horror film, and it was like I had like a few days to write, like, I don't know, 20 minutes of music or something like that, 15 minutes of music, and it was like all synthesizer. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, if you have other films that are not Star Trek, I'm game. Just putting it out there. It's not that I get tired of Star Trek. It's like I like to do other things too.
Break outside the norm. No, I get it. I get. Trust me. After 111 fan films of Star Trek, it's you kind of crave something else. Like, man, I don't
like
have
Stargate,
to
perhaps.
Hey, yes, we need to make that happen.
Have you finished Stargate yet?
No, but I'm making my way. Dude, I am making my way through it. It is not easy, my friend, but if it was anyone else besides you, I would tell them, take a hike.
Well, but then you got to tell Josh that. That will break Josh's heart. I said you got to tell Josh that because Josh loves Stargate probably even more than I do, and that will break Josh's heart. I will be calling you about an indie film, Adam. Excellent. Thank you, Josh.
No, I actually pole dancing.
What?
I don't even know, but we're good.
I just write music, Frank. I don't pole dance. I mean, I'm sure it's lucrative.
Maybe he wants you to write the music for the pole dancing.
Who wants to see this pole dance? I guess Frank.
If our people starts breaking out some dollar bills, god dang it!
Werewolves pole dancing.
That'd
be an interesting. Oh, for the indie film, awkward. I thought we were talking about the pole dancing. Thanks for bringing me into the legit fan film world, Adam and V-Man. You are welcome.
Hey, that is absolutely Captain Baxley. I mean, it's
pole dance music. Pole dance music. I'm so confused.
If anyone can pole dance to a trumpet, they deserve my dollar. That's all I got to say. And on that note, well, Scott says make it rain. So, okay, on that note, I think we will end that for the day. So, Adam, I want to say thank you for joining me. And when we do these again next year, I'd like to have you come back on and just talk about what you got going on.
Sure.
And just kind of BS and see where we're going on certain things. And actually talk about where we're going to go with some of the Stargate stuff you got going on, because honestly, I'd like to kind of talk about the production for that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Wow. Wildstar 100. Jeff says, I'm sure I'll be reaching out for music for Exeter sometime. Adam is the guy to go to. Thanks for the live stream, guys. Hey, man, keep on geeking on, brother. I'm glad to have you, and you're welcome. So, all right. With that being said, everyone in the chat, thank you for showing up. It's been a hell of a week for me, but it's glad to do this again. So thank you for coming. Everyone that's watching us on the rewind, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. And Adam, again, it's good to talk to you as always, my friend.
Good to talk to you, Vance.
Oh,
thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
I've been looking forward to this.
I'm glad, and I look forward to the next time, my friend.
All right.
So, with that being said, everyone, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.